Imagine you just finished teaching a highly structured course. Your students showed up to every session, completed all the required reading, and passed the final exam with high marks. The system functioned exactly as intended. But a few weeks later, you realize something frustrating. When those same students face a real-world scenario, they are unable to apply what they supposedly learned. This gap between passing a test and performing a task often points to the sequence of the course design itself. When we prioritize the wrong steps early on, we inadvertently build a path that leads away from practical application. Checking off attendance boxes and passing traditional tests can be deceptive. They measure a student's ability to navigate the classroom, but they rarely translate into functional, independent capability. Most course creation follows a forward-moving path. An educator selects content, prepares slides, designs activities, and adds an assessment. Backward design reverses this entire pipeline. Instead of starting with lecture materials, the structure is anchored on the final desired output. It starts with one specific question. What exactly should the student be able to do on their own when the course is over? Moving the finish line to the starting block changes how an educator selects information. It shifts the focus from what you want to say to what the student needs to achieve. We can see this in action by looking at a standard digital skills course. A traditional objective focuses on the teacher's input. I will teach presentation tools. Backward design requires a student outcome. The student will independently create a clear, compelling presentation. Identifying that specific action clarifies the entire teaching process. You no longer need to explain every secondary feature in the software. You only need to provide the mechanisms required to build that finished product. Without a concrete end state, a course lacks a clear target. This leaves both the teacher and the student to wander through theory without a destination. Once the target is set, you must determine how to objectively prove the student reached it. This means moving away from passive metrics. Watching a video or listening to a lecture shows engagement, but we need verifiable outputs to prove competence. We look for evidence through action, building a deck, explaining design choices, or sharing work with an audience. In this framework, the assessment serves as a mirror of the original goal. Testing the ability to create requires the act of creation, ensuring the evaluation and the objective are perfectly aligned. Only after the goal and the evidence are defined do we plan the daily lessons. The step where educators naturally want to begin is actually the final phase of the process. By waiting until the assessment is locked, you ensure that every assignment and reading is intentional. Case studies and exercises are chosen for one specific reason. They build the mechanical skill and confidence required to pass the final performance check. This creates a tightly woven curriculum. Every element connects back to the core outcome, which removes the need for extraneous filler that often clutters traditional courses. The day-to-day activities become a series of calibrated steps toward the objective. If a piece of content doesn't help the student reach the goal, it is removed. This alignment is especially effective in online learning, where students often work in isolation with high levels of distraction. Providing clear answers to what is being learned and how it will be used reduces the friction of the course. That clarity helps maintain motivation through the more difficult sections of the material. To use this blueprint, bypass the content initially. Establish the required result first, design the assessment second, and build the activities last. Designing a course backward ensures that students do more than just complete a checklist. It ensures they leave the course with a skill they can actually deploy.